I watched Bad Boys Ride or Die, and I do think it's a worthy entry into the Bad Boys franchise. Here are my full thoughts. Bad Boys Ride or Die is actually a worthy sequel. I mean, I expected it to be okay, but it was actually really good. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence have the best chemistry on screen, and I mean, they've been going at it since the 90s, and I think the first one or two were about 13 years apart, and then more than another decade passed for the third one to come out, and now it's 4 years since Bad Boys for Life. But they still really rule the screen. They have amazing chemistry. It's easy to believe that they are real life best friends because of how they interact with each other. And let's talk about the story. The story is pretty straightforward. It's about them trying to clear their names. And it does feel a little predictable at times, but there are a few twists that maybe some of you won't expect. I mean, the story itself is entertaining, just a little predictable, which makes it different from Bad Boys for Life, which I think had a few great twists, and it wasn't as predictable as this one. It was entertaining, but I do think this one's action is a little better. And cinematography wise, there is a scene that looks like a first person video game shooter where they focus only on the guns and the camera turns and they focus on their faces. And there's a whole scene or a behind the scenes look at how they shot this, and it was done beautifully. It really fits the feel or the vibe of this movie. I'm a big fan of the Bad Boys franchise. I've watched this since I was a kid. I know I shouldn't have been watching this when I was still growing up in the 90s, but we watched it. It was an amazing franchise back then. It's an amazing franchise right now. I do think they could have changed a few things up a little in this movie, but I'm not going to go into the negatives. I usually only want to share the positives of a movie unless the movie really sucks. But this movie, in my opinion, is actually great and worth watching. If you're a fan of action comedies, whether you're a fan of action movies of Will Smith or Martin Lawrence or the Bad Boys franchise, this movie has it all. It definitely does up the action, which is usually a good thing, but it can get a little over the top. And that's what I just want to say. This movie is great. And I hope if they do make a sequel, they only make one more. We don't want to see this franchise go the route of the Fast and Furious franchise, which has overstayed its welcome over the years. And yeah, one more with Martin Lawrence and Will Smith will be just fine. And hopefully they can go a different direction with that one. And each movie has been in a different direction, but it always comes back to cartels or drugs or something like that. So if they can do something other than a homicide or drug crimes, then maybe the franchise can succeed. Or maybe they can do some spin-offs, like with Martin Lawrence's son-in-law or Marcus's son-in-law in this movie. And yeah, the franchise still has potential, but they shouldn't try and milk it out. So yeah, my thoughts on Bad Boys Ride or Die is that this movie is worth watching. It's definitely a movie all dads will love. So if you plan on taking your dad somewhere for Father's Day, then go check out Bad Boys Ride or Die. Or just go out and watch it with your friends. Believe me, you will have a great time. I had a great time at the cinema, and I do think this movie is worth watching in theaters. It's something special, but not perfect. So yeah, Bad Boys Ride or Die. I will definitely recommend this to everyone who loves these movies, who loves action comedies, or who just wants to have a fun time at the cinema with their buddies or alone. Go check out Bad Boys Ride or Die.